Hey, what is up, guys? It is your boy King Scourge here, and it's been a long minute since I've uploaded any videos. Couple things. First of all, if you guys haven't checked my videos I've uploaded a couple weeks ago, I just graduated from college, and I've just been kind of taking it easy. So there's that, and and YouTube has been a fickle fuck. Been a pain in the ass lately. I got it figured out, but yeah, YouTube was just kind of having some issues, not letting me upload certain videos after editing them and doing all that. But I figured it out, so that's good news. Anyway. We are actually going to be doing a long-awaited Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. You guys seem to really like my other video with my Fluffle deck profile. A couple of you even commented that you won your locals because of that, and that I really appreciate that. Again, keep in mind that these decks are based on my preference or how I play the deck. You can totally adjust it. I just ask that you guys kind of use my list as a guide, and if you like the content, please feel free leaving comments below and tell me your successes or things that I can improve on. But yeah, and the name of the deck we're going to be doing is actually going to be called it's actually my Zarc Pendulum Magician, but this is my Zarc variant, so I call it Zarc Magician. Basically, for those of you who don't know, it's basically meant to tutor out Supreme King Dragon Zarc. I also have another fusion monster in here that's the same thing as Zarc, only it's a little bit stronger, but it has it essentially, if you get either one of those out, you pretty much you win the duel. Like, you're gonna win the duel unless it gets solved. But and I'll explain that in a moment. I will explain that in a moment. But pendulums, I really do have a lot of pendulum decks. I mean, I have like 17 decks and stuff like that, and I have a deck in the mail on its way right now. I'll get to that when I get all the cards I need. Pendulum Magicians are such a splashable archetype. I mean, I started playing right when Arc V came out, when I was 14. So that was almost 6-7 years ago already. And since then, we've seen so many good Pendulum cards, and pretty much the founder of Pendulum is literally Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and the Magicians and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Magicians are splashable in so many different variants. I mean, hell, you can do Endymion for the negation if you want to build like a negation type board, because the mythical beasts and the Endymion, you could do it like that. And they naturally have a lot of synergy with level 7, level 8 synchros, and rank 4s and stuff, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah, we don't have Electromite, but we're doing without, and it's fine. I mean, hell, Trift Gaming is always figuring out some crazy shenanigans with Pendulum back stack. No, they're not. I'm not roasting anyone, but while as good as they were meta, and I still think now they're kind of in rogue status because we don't have Electromite anymore. But with Electromite, I'd say they were like a tier 2, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. I don't think they were tier 1, but they were definitely like tier 2, tier 3. They were probably a tier 2 deck in their heyday. Anyway, so that's enough talking from me for talking about that. Let's get into that. Let's get into the profile, guys. So the first thing we're playing 3 of is we are playing a Searcher, the main combo Searcher. I am surprised how this card has not gotten banned at all. We are playing 3 Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm. Basically on summon, so if he's normal or special summoned, you can add 1 He Searches the Gate, so either Supreme King Gate 0 or Supreme King Gate Infinity. Most people only play the Gate 0, but I play both, and I'll explain why momentarily. But if he's in your graveyard, you can special summon him, and you can only use his effect as Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm once per turn. And then his Pendulum effect, which you will never use. If you control a monster, you can basically place the Supreme King Gate Pendulum monster in your Pendulum zone, but you can't Pendulum summon except for Dark monsters, which really isn't a problem. It really isn't a problem. Like the majority, like 98% of the magicians are dark. So there really isn't any, and most of them are level 4 anyway. And you're not gonna put Supreme King Dragon Gate Infinity in there because you can't Pendulum summon if you control a monster. So yeah, you're not gonna use this effect. You're just gonna use this monster effect a lot, and you're gonna typically send it. You're gonna always send him to the grave with either Dragon Shrine or Foolish Burial. He's a starter. But seriously, I don't know how this card hasn't gotten banned yet. Next to the Magicians, you could probably bump him down to 2. Maybe it's up to you, but we play 3 Wisdom Eye. I always consider him a 3 of. You could probably bump him down to 2 and be just fine. Some people don't even play him at all. But his Pendulum effect is really good. He replaces himself in the Pendulum zone by destroying himself and placing another magician with a different name into the Pendulum zone. So, and it isn't once per. It isn't once per turn. So there's some really stupid things that you can do with him. And he has his monster effect, which you never use. He has the ability to change if a pendulum monster has a different pendulum scale than its original scale, so i.e. like, let me think, Giant Shang Magician, the one that has a pendulum scale of 8, but if you control more cards than your opponent, it will have a pendulum scale of 4. It basically, you can discard Wisdom Eye to basically reset it to its original pendulum scale. You're not going to use that effect, because all the pendulum cards that you play, they don't change the pendulum scales, except for again, Zhang Sheng, but you don't play her, and Time Gazer does that, but he only does it if you don't have another magician in your other pendulum zone. Then his pendulum scale becomes 4, but you're not gonna use the second effect. You're gonna use this pendulum effect all the time, like 98% of the time. I don't think there's been a single duel where it's like, where I haven't used his monster, where I had to use his monster effect. You just don't. But it's a really good card. Another 3 of for this build, 3 Harmonizing. What can I say? Besides being kind of cute, don't judge me. She's basically the upgraded version of Tuning Magician. She's a pendulum scale 8, and her pendulum effect is she gives all your monsters an 100 point attack and defense point boost for each magician with a different name in your pendulum zone. And then her monster effect, which you're going to be using a lot, she basically special summons when she's pendulum summoned from the hand, because she can't be special from the extra deck. But that's fine. I wish that effect wasn't there, but she'd be even more broken if she could be special summoned from the extra deck. But when she's pendulum summoned from the hand, you can special summon a magician from your deck, but negate its effects and banish it when it leaves the field. So basically, she's your one card she's either your 1-card Synchro or 1-card Xyz, or Fusion, or whatever you need to do. Usually you just use it for a quick Xyz or something, because yeah, the materials will go to the graveyard, but you're going to be utilizing your graveyard anyway when you're going to be summoning Zarc, so it doesn't really matter. And she's a high scale, so if you need her attack point boost comes in handy. Next we play the 3 Chronograph. If we were playing, basically, you guys all know what Chronograph does. Pendulum scale 8. you during your main phase you can destroy this card in your Pendulum Zone, and then either place one Time Gazer Magician, the Garnet of the deck, and either place it in your Pendulum Zone or special summon it. And its monster effect, this is the main way you're going to be bringing out Zarc, by the way. Its monster effect is, if a monster you control, if a card you control is destroyed by battle card effects, you basically get, it's a +1 because you get to summon 2 monsters for free. You get to summon that, and you get special summon a monster from your hand. Astrograph Sorcerer has kind of the same effect, which is why it was banned, except it was a level 7 and enabled rank 7 plays. But you can also banish this card along with a Fusion Dragon, a card that has a Fusion Dragon, a Synchro Dragon, XZ Dragon, and a Pendulum Dragon from the field or graveyard. Special summon 1 Supreme King Zarc. This summon is treated as a fusion summon. You can only use this effect of Chronograph Sorcerer once per turn. Actually, no, the effect isn't once per turn. My bad. I thought that second part was, but no. You basically banish. You can either banish the Magicians or you can banish the Starving Venom Fusion Dragons, Clearwing Synchro Dragon, and it's basically your main way you're going to be getting out Zarc. And if you don't even want to do that, you can always use it for a rank 6 play, for like Naruto or something like that. But he's a 3-of, for sure. Because you don't have Astrograph. So that's it for the 3-ofs. Let's talk about the 2-ofs. We play 2 Oath Dragon. Another level 6. If you have another Magician card in your Pendulum Zone, this is his Pendulum effect, by the way. You can add 1 Magician, face-up Magician Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. He recycles Harmonizing or whatever you may need. And if he's normal or special summoned, you can target a Magician Pendulum monster or an Odd Eyes monster in your graveyard, except for Oath Dragon Magician, to add it to your hand. You use him for rank 6 XD plays, but you kind of play him because you don't want to play him at 3 because he's a brick. He's not a brick, but you're only going to really use it for his Pendulum effect. If you bring him out, that's fine, because then you can just, you can get back. He does help you retrieve your Magicians that you dumped in the grave if you need him for a resource or something. But yeah, Pendulum Magicians, I can't stress enough that Pendulum Magicians have an extremely versatile extra deck. I mean, you could literally put anything. You could put depending on your ratios, but you can put literally almost any rank 4. And I'll explain my extra deck choices in a moment. But they have access to level 7 to level 8 synchros. And you can do some crazy stuff. I mean, I have like Odd Eyes Magician. You can do Performapal Odd Eyes Magician. You can do Pendulum Magicians like I have here. There's so many different styles of Pendulum Magicians that you can build, and that's why I really do love the Pendulum Magician archetype. So this card is actually underestimated. 2 Performapal Celestial Magician. This dude, you can call him Mini Zarc because he literally is a Mini Zarc. Has 4 different effects. His Pendulum effect, though, when exactly 1 Fusion, Synchro, XZ, Pendulum monster you control is destroyed by battle card effect, you can special summon that monster immediately and then destroy this card. And that's actually really, it's really stupid because there's actually a duel where on Yugioh Pro, I was playing against this Blue Eyes player, right? I was playing a different build, and I had Pendulum summoned Clearwing Fast Dragon. He tried to destroy it, and I had a Jackal King and I had a Clearwing Fast Dragon on the field, or I'm sorry, FA Dong Dragster. So, and I had Celestial Magician and Purple Poison in the Pendulum, my Pendulum scale. So the dude tries to blow up the Dong Dragster with Alternative. I use Celestial Magician's effect, bring back the Dong Dragster. Then he only had 2 monsters on the field. Then he runs into, tries to beat over my Mythical Beast Jackal King. I use Purple Poison's effect, which we'll explain later, to boost Jackal King by 1200, and then her self-destructing. So not only did I run over the first Blue Eyes, I got to pop the second one. I got to pop the alternative as well. So I took out like 3 of his cards from him not reading card effects. So yeah, I like this card as 2 of. He has 2. He's a skill 8. So during your main phase, if this card's normal special summon, you can apply the following effects for the rest of this turn. Depending on what kind of monsters you have. If you have a fusion monster, he can attack directly. If you have a synchro, your opponent cannot activate monster effects. XZs. If you have an XZ monster, he becomes 3,000, so his attack becomes doubled. And if you have a Pendulum monster during the end phase, you can search any Pendulum monster that you would like from your. So add 1 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. So he has like 4 different effects, and you're most likely now with the new Master Rule, you're most likely going to be, you can activate more of these effects, which is pretty cool. Speaking of Purple Poison, we were just talking about her. We run 2 Purple Poison. She's treated as a Fusion Dragon, so in case you're trying to summon Zarc, she's not treated as starting gun a Fusion Dragon, but she's treated as a Fusion Dragon, which makes her a viable target for Chronograph Sorcerer. Very important. Once per turn, when a dark spell, and this is a soft once per turn. Once per turn, if your dark spellcaster monster battles, you can make it gain 1,200 attack until the end of the damage step, and then destroy it. And then her monster effect also is, if she's destroyed by battle or card effect, which means if she's destroyed by her own effect, you basically get to destroy a card on the field. It's stupid, but yeah. So it's like a Mythical Beast Jackal King. By the way, I don't run that in this deck, but Mythical Beast Jackal King is a dark spellcaster, so, and he has 2,400 attack. So the Blue Eyes player attacked into the Jackal King. I used Purple Poison, made the Jackal King 30, made my Jackal King 36, killed the Blue Eyes, and I got to blow up the alternative. It was 200 IQ play. It was awesome. It was pretty sick, actually. Next, we play 2 of the XZ Dragon Pendulum monsters, so Black Fang. He's a skill 8. His Pendulum effect is a Dark Rebellion effect. Once per turn, you can cut a monster's attack your opponent controls in half, and then destroy it, and then he destroys himself. He's treated as an XZ Dragon, and when he's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 Dark Spellcaster monster in your graveyard, special summoning. So he's good for helping with Monster Reborn, and again, you're going to use him to go into Zarc. You could probably bump this one down to 1, but I'm playing 2 for now. White Wing Magician, she's treated as the Synchro Dragon, so she's basically treated as Clearwing. Her Pendulum effect isn't very good, but you have to play at least 1 of her. Because I like running 2 copies of her, because in case we run through the 1 copy, consider bumping her down to 1. But once per turn, when a card effect is activated, targets a dark spellcaster monster you control, you can negate the activation, then destroy this card. Or you can negate that effect and destroy, and then she self-destructs. And then she's a tuner when she's Pendulum summoned, and she's used her Synchro summon. She banishes herself. I don't like that effect. Again, I'd probably bump her down to 1 because we already play Clearwing in the extra deck. I really am considering bump her down to 1, but I play 2 of her for right now, and it's fine. I mean, next, because Double Iris is limited to 1, which we'll be explaining momentarily, I play 2 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Because Double Iris just came off the ban list, but I was playing this ever since Double Iris got banned. Basically, this is treated as a Pendulum Dragon, and it's a level 7, which is fine. So it enables you to run a couple of level 7, a couple of rank 7s in your extra deck. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, for those you don't know, it's Yugioh's Ace card. It reduces the battle damage you take involving a Pendulum monster to 0. It's a 4 scale. Normally 4 scales aren't that very good because they don't really do anything, because most of your monsters are level 4. so you won't be able to pendulum summon much. But this one gets a pass because during the end phase, you can destroy this card and then add one pendulum monster with 1,500 attack points or less from your deck to your hand. So this one gets a pass. Again, this is another one considering bumping down to 1. Now that Double Irish is back to 1. Just to kind of keep the ratios the way that they are. Because again, this deck is just focusing on getting out Zarc. I mean, I have it doing other things as well, but it's mainly either going to get out Zarc or the other big fusion I'm going to show you later on. Next for the one-ofs, the one brick, the Garnet. Basically what this does is, the one-time Yugioh Magician, I'm sorry, I'm starting like an idiot. He becomes an Ancient Gear in the Pendulum Zone, so when your Pendulum Monster attacks, your opponent can't activate trap cards until the end of the damage step. That becomes irrelevant because no one really runs traps anymore. I shouldn't say anyone, but it's been mostly a spell format. Unless you're hand trapped like Imperm or anything like that. But you're going to be searching him or special summoning off a Chronograph, but he is the one brick. You can't even activate him unless... Yeah, you can only activate him if you control no monsters. So, whoop-de-doo. And his monster effect is... once per turn, the first cards that would be destroyed by your opponent's card effect and your Pendulum Zone is not destroyed. So, his effects are irrelevant, but he's the Guardian of the deck. You don't really want to draw him, but you can tutor him out with Harmonizing or whatever you may need. And to enable a couple more level 7 Synchro plays, I have the one Timebreaker. I like Timebreaker as a card. It's pretty cool. His pendulum effect prevents your pendulum monster from being destroyed by a card effect once per turn. And when he's pendulum summoned by himself, his attack becomes doubled. So he becomes 2,800, which isn't bad for a level 3. He has to be pendulum summoned by himself though, which kind of sucks. And he also becomes he's a mini Omega. He doesn't snipe from the hand, but you can hit this card and one other card your opponent controls and banish them until the next standby phase. So he's like a mini Omega, kind of. Like I say, he doesn't hit the hand, but he hits the field. The only problem is it targets, but I only play him because for another level 3 to bring out Harmonizing Magician, so that way you can make a couple more level 7 Synchros. Next we play one Supreme King Gate 0 and one Supreme King Gate Infinity. Most people would play 2 Donut instead of the Infinity. But Gate 0 has a pendulum scale of 0, and its pendulum effect is if you control Supreme King's Dragon Zarc, you take no damage. No battle or effect damage. And if you have, once per turn, if you have Supreme King Gate Infinity in your other Pendulum Zone, you can destroy both of them, and then they can, you can add one fusion spell or polymerization from your deck to your hand. So it searches super, if you have both gates, it searches Super Poly, which we run a copy of. It searches any of the couple of fusion spells that we run in the deck. That effect won't be going off very often, but if you do, it's pretty neat. Now, Supreme King Gate Infinity is if you control a Pendulum monster, you cannot Pendulum summon, and it's a scale 13. If you could once per turn, if you control Supreme King Dragon Zarc, you can basically gain life points equal to one monster's attack on your opponent's side of the field by targeting it. So if you have Zarc, basically, okay, you have a 4,000 beat stick, okay, target it, I gain 4,000 life points. Nothing special. You won't really be using those effects, but that's why I run them one of each, just because, again, they destroy and it helps search with fusion spells. Now, Gate 0's Pendulum effect, or monster effect, is once per turn you can target one face-up card you control, and this card, destroying both, and special summon one Dragon-type fusion or Synchro monster from your extra deck. But its attack and defense both become 0, and also it negates their effect. So it's a way to tutor out Zarc, and they can't be used for a Synchro or an XZ summon. which means once they go to the grave, you can't bring them back. But it kind of helps in a pinch if you're looking for that one dragon. Again, you're going to be... And then when it's destroyed by battle card effect, you can place it in the Pendulum Zone. So the Donut does Fusion and Synchro. The Infinity does XZ and Pendulum. You can only do one of each. So... So you can... So, yeah, it helps. It's supposed to help tutor out each of the dragons, the Dimension dragons. But when they're both destroyed by battle card effect, you can place them in the Pendulum Zone. So usually you're gonna target a monster in your Pendulum Zone, destroy them both, set both these up in the Pendulum Scales, use this effect to blow them up, search a fusion spell when you need it. But you can do little combos like that. One Janky Magician. This card is an interesting one. For this build, I played as one of. It's a low scale. Basically, what this does is his Pendulum effect is a rank up magic, basically. So, well, kind of a rank up magic. I mean, you can play the other one, but basically you can target one XZ monster you control and one monster with a level. You can make this turn, if you were to use both of those monsters, you give an XZ monster a level, and it allows you to XZ summon using an XZ monster as material. Using the XZ monster as a level, so he enables you to do that. And his monster effect is this would be great against Cyber Dragons, because once per turn you can target during either player's turn you can target a light monster on the field and negate its effect until the end of the turn. In this deck, I only play him as a one-of because I don't really have any I don't run Odd Eyes Rebellion, or I run rank 7s, but I don't run Odd Eyes Rebellion or Odd Eyes Raging. I don't have enough level 7s to run that. I can if I want, because this deck is so extremely versatile. But I also have a Odd Eyes Magician deck that I may be showing profiling for you guys later on. Maybe not tonight, but soon. And the last of the monsters, we play the one Double Irish Magician because it's limited. Otherwise, you would be playing it at 3. All right. Double Irish Magician is basically the Pendulum version of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, the Magician version. Pendulum effect, once per turn, you can target one Dark Spellcaster monster you control. Any battle damage it does this turn is doubled. And then he self-destructs. Now, this is partially why Double Irish was banned for a while. It's because it searches the Pendulum Graphs. If it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add one Pendulum Graph from your deck to your hand. So, in other words, it would search either Star Pendulum Graph or Time Pendulum Graph, and those are what the Magicians rely on. And those two cards are actually really stupid. They can be really dumb. Especially when I learned how continuous... I remember when I learned how you can activate the effects of continuous traps, if applicable, during either player's turn. I didn't know that until... This is when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Right after Magicians came out and they started becoming meta. But, yeah, he searches the Pendulum Graphs. You need the Pendulum Graphs because... And I will be explaining that momentarily. Alright, next for the spells, you play one Miracle Synchro Fusion. Again, helps you get into Zarc. It lets you banish monsters from your field or graveyard to special summon a fusion monster from your extra deck that lists a Synchro monster as fusion material. So Zarc, because it says 4 dragons, 1 fusion dragon, 1 Synchro dragon, 1 XZ pendulum, or 1 XZ dragon, and 1 pendulum dragon. So you play the one Miracle Synchro Fusion, and if his face down is destroyed, you get to draw a card. Unfortunately, I would be recommending playing Predator Verti Anaconda, but I don't have one of those, so this is just the way I have it for right now. So just bear with me. And of course, we played the 1 standard polarization for reasons I'll explain later. Let you summon Zarc from the hand, or from your extra deck, but you can use the Magicians in your hand to summon it. 1 Super Poly because we play Starving Venom. 1 Dragon Shrine and 1 Foolish Burial. I feel like this is all you need. You don't really need to play. You don't really need. You could even drop the Foolish Burial for 2 Dragon Shrine, but Dragon Shrine you can only activate once per turn. Foolish you don't have to. I feel like this is all you need to kind of get started. Next we play Double Duelist Alliance. Again, we want to get to the Pendulum Graphs and as fast as possible. And again, it also searches Pendulum Call. And you can even search your Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragons or whatever you may need. Speaking of Pendulum Graphs, we play 2-star Pendulum Graph. I feel like 2 is the correct ratio. You don't need to play 3. 1. Some people only play it at 1. I play it at 2. I feel like it's just fine. Basically, your opponent, it's a continuous spell. Your opponent can't target spellcaster you control with spell effects. And once per turn, if a face-up Magician Pendulum Monster leaves your field, it can be in the monster zone, and it can be used for Fusion, Synchro, XE, whatever. If it leaves the field by any means, you can add 1 Magician Pendulum Monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use it once per turn, but it's your searcher. Once you get that off, if your opponent doesn't space it, you'll start gaining crazy advantage. For the last of the spells, I play 2 Pendulum Call. You should be playing 3, but again, I don't have a 3rd copy, so I apologize about that. But you should be playing 3 of this. If you wanted to take out a White Wing Magician for a 3rd Pendulum Call, you can feel free to do that. But this is also your searcher. Duelist Alliance searches this, but you discard 1 card and then add 2 Magician Pendulum Monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. And after this resolves, Magician cards in your Pendulum Zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, you cannot activate this card if you've already activated Magician Pendulum Monsters, a Magician Pendulum effect. So Magician Monsters Pendulum effect this turn. So if you're gonna play this, play it right away. You can use, because you can't use it afterward. So yeah, always play this first. This really sucks if it gets ashed. But you also have to remember whatever you're searching, don't search Wisdom. Do not search Wisdom Eye with this unless you absolutely have to, because you won't be able to. You got to read the fine text. There's been times where I've been dueling and I completely forget that Wisdom Eye can still activate its effect to destroy itself. It just won't be destroyed, so you won't be able to get the search because of this effect. So you kind of have to be careful when make sure you double check your cards and read your cards. Next, for the traps, and we only play 2. We only play 1 time Pendulum Graph. 1 is all you need of this, but once per turn, your opponent basically can't target spellcaster monster you control with trap effects. And once per turn, you can target 1 Magician Pendulum Monster in your Monster Zone or Pendulum Zone, and 1 card your opponent controls, and destroy them both. And this effect can be applied during either player's turn. And also, if this effect didn't destroy 2 cards, you can send a card on the field to the graveyard. So that's kind of nice. So that's pretty cool, and that's how you're going to be gaining advantage off of. That's part of the reason how you're going to be gaining advantage during your opponent's turn with Star Pendulum Graph, because you have 2 Magicians, right? You target a Magician, Pendulum in your Pendulum Zone or whatever. Target a monster your opponent controls during their turn. Pop them both. Star Pendulum Graph will trigger, you can add a Magician from your deck to your hand. And if you just resolve Pendulum Call, you can still destroy your opponent's card, but then you can send another card to your opponent's graveyard because Pendulum Call protects him from being destroyed by card effects. So you can see the synergy with the Pendulum Magician. It's absolutely nuts. And for the last of the main deck, we play one Pendulum Dimension. Now, this card has 4 different effects. I'm actually going to read this, double check. So, if you special summon monsters, any of these monsters, using a Pendulum monster as material, you get to apply one of the 4 effects. So, if you can't apply that same effect, Pendulum Dimension, you can only use each effect once per turn. So, if it's a fusion monster, so in other words, if you fusion summon a monster, use a Pendulum monster's material, you can add 1 polymer here. Yeah. Okay, so if you fusion summon a monster, you can special summon 1 monster with the same original level as the fusion monster in defense mode from your deck, but negate its effects. If you use a Synchro, you get to search a Polymerization. And if you use an XZ, you get to search a Tuner. And add it to your hand or special summon it. So you get like 3 effects. So you're going to be using one of these effects, and I think it's a nice card to help search your fusion spells. Even though you only run 2, I feel like it's a niche card. You don't have to run this, but I run it as a 1-up because Duelist Alliance can search it. So it's a little niche tech card I play. And then for the extra deck, like I said, the extra deck is extremely versatile. If you want to play rank 4, if you want to make more of a synchro engine, you can go ahead. You can use level 7s, level 8s. There's a lot of generic level 7 and level 8 synchros out there. That's why I like I said, that's why I like this deck. But for what I'm playing for right now, is we're going to start with the XZs. We're going to be running I'm running 1 Time Star Magician. Basically, he takes 2 level 4 Magician Pendulum monsters, and he can only be XZ summoned with the above materials. Once per turn, you could detach 1 XZ material, add 1 Dark Spellcast from your hand, from anywhere. To your hand from your graveyard, deck, or extra deck to your hand. He can search it from anywhere. And if a Pendulum monster if a Pendulum card would be destroyed by any means, once per turn you can send a Dark Spellcaster to the graveyard instead from your deck. So you only need him as one of his decent stats, and he's a combination of Stargazer and Time Gazer Magician, which is why they came up with this. I really do like this card. It's pretty cool. You can also play I also used to play Trapeze Magician, but that's another option too, because spellcasters, and you'll never take damage. The damage is less than or equal to 25. You see, there's so many different. I can't stress enough. There's so many different versatile ways you can build the extra deck for Pendulum Magicians. It's nuts. And I don't think Konami intended for it to be like that, but that's why it's really, really cool. We play 1 Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon. Once per turn, you can detach 2 XZ materials, target 1 monster your opponent controls, have its attack, and if you do, this card gains that monster's lost attack. So basically, if you have a 5,000 beat stick, I summon Dark Rebellion, detach 2 XZ materials, Dark Rebellion would then gain 2,500 attack, and that targeted monster would lose 2,500 attack. And you're going to be using him for the XZ Dragon for Zarc momentarily. I also play 1 Hope Magician. This one's an interesting one. I like it. It's okay. It's nothing special, but it looks cool. It's a rank 4 Pendulum XZ. That's basically Utopia. So it's a scale 8. Once per turn, when a monster declares an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, destroy this card. He's a generic level 4 XZ Pendulum. He needs 2 level 4 monsters. If you can Pendulum Summon level 4, you can Pendulum Summon this card face up from your extra deck. Once per turn, you can detach 1 XZ material, and actually, gotta read this. Once per turn, you can detach 1 XZ material from this card, special summon 1 level 7 or lower Pendulum monster from your hand in defense mode, but negate its effects. Then you can place this face-up card in your Pendulum zone. You can only use this effect to Hope Magician once per turn, and if it's just Pendulum summoned, you get to attach a Pendulum monster from your graveyard to its XZ material. So it's not bad. If you have an open Pendulum zone, you can do some niche plays with it, but I kind of just like it. I mean, you can go into it, and it's pretty cool. It should have been more, though. I feel like it definitely should have been more. But if you don't want to play this again, you can play like Trapeze Magician. You can play like if you want to do like a more negation type build, you can play Abyss Dweller. You can play pretty much any generic toolbox rank 4, whatever you see fit. Next, we play one Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. Takes 2 level 7 dragons. This card's also essentially Utopia. When any monster declares an attack, you can detach one Z material and negate the attack. And if you do special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your graveyard or your hand, I don't think it does extra deck. Yep, you can XZ summon. Yep. And then if this card is XZ summoned and it's sent to the graveyard by any means, you can special summon one Odd Eyes from your extra deck. So you use this to cheat out. Vortex if you want, or Meteor Burst, or whatever you may. We don't run too many level 7s, but we play it anyway because it's a Vortex package. Then I play one Dark Intellion Dragon. This is basically the Pendulum version of Dark Rebellion XZ Dragon when you're talking about card lore, they're all related to each other. What this card does is it's a scale 10. Pendulum effect, once per turn you can target one monster. It has Black Fang Magician's Pendulum effect, except it doesn't kill itself. You can have a monster's attack, and then for the turn. And then it takes 2 level 7 monsters, but once per turn during either player's turn, quick effect, you can detach one Z material, have that monster's attack, have one monster's attack on the field, and then he steals that monster's attack points. So he basically does what Dark Rebellion does, and except he gains the attack until the end of the turn. And he takes 2 level 7s to make, and you can Pendulum summon him if you can Pendulum summon level 7. So he doesn't do much, but I kind of like his effect as well. In the manga, though, what this card does, this effect goes a lot better. I wish they would have kept that effect on there. But in the manga, what he does is he still has that effect where you can have the monster's attack, but instead of gaining the attack, not only does it gain the attack, you also gain life points equal to the attack gained by that. So basically what you would do in the manga, what it would do is, again, we'll just use it, if you had a 5,000 beat stick, so if you had a monster with 5,000 attack points, I summon this, use this effect, steal 2,500, this thing would become 5,500, steal 2,500 attack points from your monster, and then I gain 2,500 life points. And then, once you do all that, it also had the effect where if this effect was activated, it can't be, the turn this effect is activated, it couldn't be destroyed by battle or card effects. That would have been so much better. But, yeah, anyway. So, yeah, I play one Dark Intellion. Nothing special. Next, we play the one Naruto. Norito. Negation for spells and traps. Generic rank 6. You can use Oath Dragon to Chronograph and summon it if you want. We only need to play one rank 6 though. If you want to play another rank 6, you can take out one of the synchros that I play or anything like that. Extract's completely up to you. I have a build where I play the one I play that one Jinzo monster that becomes a snatch, that becomes a crackdown, where you can target a monster your opponent controls and then take control of it, but it can't activate its effects or attack. I play one of those, but I don't have that card right now. But if you can play whatever you'd like to play. Now for the synchros. 1 Omega, Hand Snipe. I can banish one card during either player's turn. Main phase, you can banish this card and one card from your opponent's hand randomly, and then until the next standby phase, he comes back. And once per turn during your standby phase, you can target, if this card's on the field, you can target one card in your banished pile, or banished from anywhere, any player's banished pile, and put it back in the graveyard, and he can return himself to the extra deck by shuffling one card in your graveyard and himself back into the deck. So he's at 1 for a reason. Supreme King 1. We also play 1 Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. This is your Lightning Vortex without the cost. On summon, on Synchro summon, destroys all specials, or destroys all monster your opponent all face-up monster your opponent controls. And when this card battles, you can. It doesn't negate the battle, but when this card battles, you can basically destroy the monster and inflict damage to your opponent equal that monster's original attack points. You can only use that effect once per turn. Technically, my friends and I play that as a... Now, my friends and I... It says once per turn. It's not a quick effect, but it says during damage calculation. So technically you can only use it when when you're attacking with it. But my friends kind of just ignore that. We just treat as damage calculation as in either player's turn. So if they attack it, you can use that effect. Technically, that's not how it works, but that's just the way we play. So, but yeah, it's a Lightning Vortex on summon. 1 Lightment Paladin. He lets you recycle a spell on Synchro summon. When he kills a monster by battle, you can burn your opponent equal to that monster's attack points. So yeah, he's really nice. He's another generic level 8 that you're going to go into. Next, for the level 7s, we play 1 Clearwing. Once per turn, when a level 5 or higher monster activates its effect, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card, and this card gains attack equal to the attack of the destroyed monster until the end of the turn. Also, once per turn, as a quick effect, when an effect activates that targets exactly 1 level 5 or higher monster on the field, you can also negate the activation and destroy that card, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that card's original attack until the end of the turn. So he's a monster negate, or she's a monster negate. Clearwing's actually a girl, based off the Magician lore. But you're going to be going into her easily too. I mean, Harmonizing searches, specials, Time Gazer or Time Breaker, Sync for 7, you have a Clearwing. And then the 1 Odd-Eyes Meteor Burst. When it's special summoned, you can special summon 1 monster from your Pendulum Zone. Can be helpful sometimes. Also, your opponent can't activate monster effects during the battle phase, which is kind of nice. So in other words, they can't activate Utopia the Lightning, so they won't be able to freaking punch you in the mouth for 5,000 or anything like that. No, it just says no. You don't get any monster effects in the battle phase. Finally, for the fusions, 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. This is a super poly target. Requires 2 dark monsters on the field. If this card is special fusion summon, you can target 1. This card gains attack equal to 1 special summon monster your opponent controls. And once per turn, you can target 1 level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls. It copies that name and effect until the end of the turn. And if it's destroyed, all your opponent's special summon monsters go to the graveyard, are destroyed as well. So you only need 1. You're going to be using it for... if you're not going to be fusion summoning into it the hard way, you're going to be using it for Zarc and bringing out with the gates and doing your plays. 1 Odd-Eyes Vortex. Once per turn during either player's... once per turn during either player's turn, when the card or effect is activated, you can shuffle 1 face-up Pendulum monster you control into your deck. From the extra deck, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. When this card is special summoned, and this is on special summon, it's a compulse. You can target 1 monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. That effect is not once per turn, and it is soft once per turn on Odd-Eyes Vortex Dragon, by the way. And he has 3,000 defense. You can cheat him out with Absolute if you really want to. That's why we also play the Odd-Eyes Pendulum Dragon, because you can hard fuse and summon him. Because if you summon it off of Absolute, once it dies, you won't be able to get it back. That's the only problem with fusion monsters not being summoned properly, but those are the rules. Now, for the last of the 2 fusion monsters, we play 1 Supreme King Dragon Zarc. This is the big boy that you want, one of the big boys that you want to summon. If you summon this, you win the duel unless it gets summoned. Requires 4 dragon types, 1 fusion, 1 synchro, 1 XZ, and 1 pendulum. In other words, you can use the 4 magicians of Chronograph to summon this thing. Because they're all treated as each of the dragons, or you can hard summon this and get all the dragons in the graveyard or whatever. When this card must be fusion summoned, it cannot be special summoned by other ways, which is kind of strange considering it's a level 12 and they have a scale 13. Implement it, because Gate 0 and Infinity are scale 13, yet implementing the Zarc could be pendulum summoned back to the field. Well, that's not the case. So, when it's special summoned, or when it's fusion summoned, well, actually no, it says when it's special summoned, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls, cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and when it destroys a monster by battle, keep in mind it has 4,000 attack. You can special summon 1 Supreme King Dragon monster from either your deck, your extra deck, or graveyard. So he's the boss monster. This is one of the monsters you want to bring out. Yeah, and his pendulum scale, if he's destroyed by battle card effect, again, keep in mind he's 4,000 attack, so they're not going to be killing this easily. He placed himself in the pendulum zone, and he basically says fuck you to your opponent's extra deck shit. So, because your opponent can't activate fusion, synchro, or XZ monster effects while this card's in the pendulum zone, and if your opponent would add a card from anywhere to their hand, he automatically destroys the card. And yes, the card says destroy, not discard them. And that isn't once per turn, so your opponent can't add anything. So yeah, if you get this out, you're most likely winning the duel. And for the last of the fusions, this is my spicy tech. This is Zarc 2.0. This is bigger Zarc. I play 1 Quintet Magician. This literally has the same effect as Zarc, except it requires 5 monsters, and you need to have 5 spellcaster monsters. And if you use 5 spellcaster monsters with different names, you get to destroy all of cards your opponent controls. This also cannot be destroyed by, cannot be tributed. Also, it can't be destroyed by card effects if you use 5 spellcasters with different names. This is bigger Zarc, so if you get, this is what I've been saying. If you get either of these 2 out, the duel's over. Like, you're gonna win unless it gets solemned. But depending on which one you're gonna use to summon it, because you do need 5 magicians, 5 spellcasters, different names. That shouldn't be a problem because you have all the magicians. So if you have a polarization in hand and you have a chronograph on field, you can just be like, you can just ask your opponent and be like, how do you want to die? Do you want to die to a 4,500 beat stick, or do you want to die to a 4,000 beat stick? Either way, like I said, they both nuke the field. They both do the same exact thing. So, yeah. So that's it for the deck profile. I really do want to thank you guys for watching this video. I realize this was kind of a longer video. But if you guys like this content, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think of the deck profile. I will try to upload deck profiles whenever I have the chance and things like that. I hope you guys are all doing safe out there. It's a crazy world right now, and we're all in this together. So, with that being said, you guys have a good night, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.